YouTube, hello, welcome back to Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis. So this video is going to be a cut from my stream, that just me going over kind of my build, my thought processes behind like why I built the team the way that I have, and just my thoughts on this guild battle overall. But I wanted to do a little recording after the fact because I feel like this one is more than the other guild battles, which have always been kind of like, you know, power gauges, power level gauges, right, for your account. The new fire banner that released is for Matt and Sephiroth, which you haven't watched that video, links in the description if you're interested. The banner that has Matt and Sephiroth's new weapons is pretty important to your overall DPS in this fight. You do need a magic defense buff to survive on, I'm talking strictly about stage 5, by the way. For stage 1, as always, just go for straight DPS, right? But for the stage 5 fight, I'm finding that the magic defense of my characters is not quite high enough, and the HP is not quite high enough for me to actually like focus on the DPS route, right? There's not a lot of fire potency HP weapons. There's only 2, and one of them is actually in the buff, being Glenn's crew kicker, right? So we don't have access to that as an option for a sub weapon. And if you've pulled recently on things like, you know, the pilot's collar for Red 13, the new banner that just released yesterday at this point, you know, that you've got a lot more options than I do personally. Most of my stuff is from like early on in the game, so I've got like, you know, therapeutic or platinum collar at OB10, so I can use the regen here, but the regen doesn't really help me, right? And Red doesn't have a magic defense buff outside of pilot's collar, so I don't have a really good option for an AoE magic defense buff. So I ended up doing some pulls just to try to see if I can get some pulls done, and I needed to be able to get Shark Slayer for Barret, because that was really what I needed, was Barret with Shark Slayer and with the Escutcheon cannon, the recently released Escutcheon cannon, because not only does Barret then apply a fire defense down, but also gives my entire team magic attack and magic defense, which is what I'm really missing at this point. But I don't have access to that. So when it comes to building your roster, because I've had a couple of comments on previous guild battle videos that I've posted in the past, these are power gauges to try to see where your current power level is, both with the buff score that you get with Glenn and Aerith's weapons and your current fire damage, your current fire DPS, right? My fire DPS is pretty weak overall, even though I have a lot of really good options and my variety is good. My sub weapons are pretty good when it comes for fire weapons. They're not great, but they're pretty good. I'll compete, but I won't do very well, right? Which is why I ended up pulling on the Matt and Sephiroth banner, mostly just because I realized I need that extra like oomph with my fire damage. And so I basically decided that I'm not going to pull in January, which is fine, right? I'm getting off topic. The point is that this one, more than anything, I'll actually jump into the mock battle here and show you. The fight here specifically ends very quickly if you don't have a magic defense buff, because we can't debuff the opponent's magic attack, right? So this is how I start. So we start off really quickly. We'll put this off of auto with a magic attack buff, a magic defense debuff, and then the fire attack down. All fairly simple, right? Then we're gonna pop off with Tifa's attack. We're gonna pop off with Zack's attack, and then Red 13 is gonna hold his ability and just get regen up onto everybody. So this is trying to keep everybody as topped up as we possibly can, and then we just keep DPSing. Go ahead and pop Tornado Shot here just to reapply buffs. Go ahead and reapply the debuff here. We'll reapply the debuff here. And Zack's dead. So you see, this is kind of what I'm talking about. Like, so now we're at a point where now my magic defense down is gone, and it's gonna use a massive area of effect ice attack, specifically ice attack, which is notable. But it's gonna be using a massive AoE ice attack that will take out Red 13 and almost take out Tifa, depending on what Tifa's HP is at. And that puts us in a really awkward position where I'm not actually doing a whole lot of damage. Because if you've seen my previous videos, I've actually been able to do between somewhere in the double digits on stage 5 personally, which is good for me, maybe not good for everybody else, but good for me, right? And that's kind of my goal, is to just do the best I can for my guild, because our guild only has currently, I think, 8 or 9 active members. So we're not rocking with a ton of active members. We're not going to look for the top 500. We're really just trying to get in the top 1,000. But again, so for the strategy here, it's just, ignore my things, right? For the strategy here, it's your leader, main DPS, whatever your highest fire damage is, whether that's the egg staff with Aerith and you have to take that off of your buff because that's your strongest fire attack, whether that's the magic specific, right? if you have access to, what's the other magic fire weapon in the game? Lucia's Rose Musket is an option. If you pulled really hard and got Sephiroth's new fire weapon, right? That's not a bad one to use either. But there's not a ton of really strong fire damage options in terms of just like overall DPS. You could run Sephiroth. Let me build another team here so I don't ruin what I've already built here. I don't want to have to redo all this. But let's say you have Sephiroth and all you have access to is the prototype Crimson Blade, right? This is all you have access to. 520%. This isn't bad, right? And you can build around this if you need to, and just do the best you can to like buff up your magic attacks. So let's say you've got the magic ability mastery outfit here, and then this is what you're rocking with. You just supplement this with other fire damage weapons, right? So you would give him sub weapons that increases fire potency, sub weapons that increases magic attack. You could do something here that increases his magic attack a whole bunch. Give him magic attack all allies. If you had access to this and pulled on this earlier in the year, you could do this as well. You know, there are options to utilize around these 520% ones, but these are all a lot lower. Like this is nearly half of Tifa's overall damage when she's above 70% health. So it's not nearly as strong, and you're going to see a much negative return on your DPS overall, but it'll work, right? But again, going back to the point here, this one requires a lot of things for you to succeed, right? You need to have the fire defense down. You need to have the magic defense down, because if you don't break that gauge that it has for the Icy Rampage, if you don't break that gauge, it's going to do even more damage and you won't be able to survive it, right? So it's a combination of both buffing your own magic defense and also doing enough DPS to make sure that it doesn't just outright kill you before you have a chance to DPS out. So this is a pretty tough one. The strategy, as always with the guild battles, it remains pretty much the same. It's, if you're going to stage 1 specifically, go in with just flat out DPS, go and hit it as hard as you can with all of the fire damage you have access to. You know, try as hard as you can. Don't think too much about it. If you're going into stage 5 specifically, the things that you're going to need are specifically a magic defense buff, because you can't debuff its magic attack, fire DPS, your main fire DPS, and a magic defense / fire resist down on the enemy, right? Those are the 4 things that you need. So again, magic defense buff, fire damage, magic defense debuff on the opponent, fire debuff on the opponent. And those are the 4 things that you absolutely have to have. The other thing that would obviously make this fight a little bit better is a magic attack buff, which would also be useful. I did end up in my pull video, which I'd also put that up on YouTube as well if you're interested in checking that out. I did end up pulling the pilot's collar, so I do have access to a good heal and a magic defense buff now with Red 13. So my what you saw in this, what you're going to see in this video, I might be able to improve a little bit. And as always, if I find something better, if I see something that I think is going to be something that would help everybody, I'll post it on YouTube as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I just wanted to kind of get in the beginning here, chat with y'all, make sure you understand that this is a pretty tough one in terms of like, even I'm struggling, and I've got OB8 shell knuckles. Like my Tifa's pretty built for fire DPS, especially for magic fire DPS, and I just don't have the tools to do really well. I think the highest I've gotten on stage 5 so far is like a 3.8%, which for me is relatively low, especially since I have a 61 buff score. I was expecting to do a little bit more than that, but I'm gonna have to play around with it a little bit. I did end up pulling for Matt's weapon, and I got, obviously, like I showed you, I got pilot's collar as well. I don't want to spoil the rest of the video. If you want to watch it, you can go watch it. But yeah, so I appreciate y'all being here, though. I hope you all enjoyed the thought process, the rest of the video, me explaining kind of why I'm building the way that I'm building. If you haven't already, make sure you like the video, comment, and subscribe. We're on our way to 1,000 subscribers. We're only I think we're like 180 away at this point. So appreciate the support. Appreciate y'all enjoying all the videos. If you're ever interested in coming by one of the streams, you can check out the social details in the description below. And yeah, I appreciate y'all watching. Let's go ahead and jump into the guild battle now. Alrighty, so let's just let's jump into stage 1 like we have in the past. Let's check our boss. We're dealing with the Behemoth King, immune to poison, immune to debuffs, so we can't use debuffs. So we're gonna have to increase our own magic defense, right? So definitely gonna need magic defense buffs for the higher tier fights. For the lower tier fights, as we talked about before, just go straight DPS. Don't worry about it. Immune to poison, immune to darkness, immune to silence, immune to sun, immune to fatigue. Okay, nothing crazy there. Okay. So first things first, we're gonna go through and delete all of our teams like we do in every single guild battle. And start by auto-forming our buffs. So we're gonna go by points, hit confirm. And this time around, we are dealing with Aerith and Glenn. Okay. Aerith and Glenn should put me in a pretty decent spot. Not great, but a pretty decent spot. And then for gear, it's going to be most of the new stuff, right? Stuff that was recently released. You're going to see most of the buff score for here. So if you need something from here and it's not going to drop you too far down, feel free to take it back, right? So like if I need Aerith's AoE damage outfit, right? I might just steal it back. Alrighty, so first things first, we're going to just go straight out DPS here. Build the roster around Tifa. Tifa is my main fire damage dealer, so we're going to give her the Passion Mermaid outfit. We'll give her the Shell Knuckles and the Behemoth Fangs, likely, just to have magic attack all allies. Plus, it has the highest magic attack stat of my weapons at 744. So, worth keeping that in my main hand. It's even worth losing some of the fire potency over, which you'll see in a second. In terms of the summon, we're going to go ahead and give Hellfire, which I have not upgraded at all. We're going to go straight out, just full-on magic attack, my best magic stat sticks in the game. And then we're just going to supplement this with as much magic potency as we can, including any additional magic attack that we need. So if we can get this on here, this is going to get us up to that 44 breakpoint. And then we need one more magic attack that's going to have fire potency included. So let's go check out fire potency. We're going to be using the Rose Musket with Lucia for the magic defense debuff. So we're going to keep that on the offhand here. Go ahead and grab this. Is going to be included in the so we can't use that. This will max out our magic attack and get us up to level 4 in the fire potency, so we'll take this and then probably just Rage Collar here, gets us up to boost 5 and magic or just regular attack at level 3. Yeah, not great, not perfect, but should do. My health is low, but again, we're going for all out DPS here. So next we're going to bring Lucia. I'm going to include the just boost attack outfit. She's going to be rocking the Rose Musket in her main hand, the Holiday Revolver in her offhand. That it will max out her magic attack almost certainly, or with sub weapons, right? We're going to give her the Crimson Flare, which is going to increase our magic fire damage, or increase our fire damage. Sorry. Give all these magic attack materials again. We're going to skip the fire one because I think I'm going to have Aerith hold that. I don't have the ultimate weapon for Lucia, but we're probably going to change that. In terms of the sub weapons, we're going to give her the prototype Crimson Blade. We're going to give her the Stream Guard, which is going to give us magic attack all allies and get our fire potency up as well. And then I'd like to have the other, there's one more boost HP fire potency weapon, isn't there? The red megaphone, okay. So I need to upgrade this. Should put her in a decent spot. Nice. And then last but not least, we're going to, oh, can we do Aerith though? Aerith's weapons are featured. It's gonna have to be red then. Red, you look different. There we go. All right, I do have the Hellhound one, so that's not terrible for me. Let's go ahead and equip on the, I think Silver Collar's fire. No, it's Ivy, right? I always forget. Ivy Collar, yeah. This one's fire resist. And red doesn't have access to a AoE heal outside of Pilot's Collar, and I have not pulled that yet, right? So it's probably just going to be the therapeutic touch then, right? For regen. Then we'll do Stardust Ray, which can eliminate magic defense or magic buffs and debuffs, or magic and physical buffs rather. Give him Fyra, give him 2 more magic attack things. So Bop, even though it's immune, it shouldn't be immune to Dispel, I don't think. And then all tanky stats here. So we're gonna do magic defense all allies and then boost HP with 1 magic attack or magic attack all allies. So we'll do this one and then just boost HP. Which can be anything really, doesn't really matter. This is fine. And I don't have Red 13's ultimate weapon either. Interesting. So this is going to be a little bit harder for me than I thought. Let's go ahead and mock this and take a look at the fight. All right, so our first thing we're going to do is we're going to increase everybody's magic attack. We're going to go ahead and decrease their fire resistance, decrease their magic defense. Do this one more time. Do this one more time. And then just DPS race here. Yeah. Don't even have to, still hitting pretty hard. Just go ahead and pop these really quick. It does take off the buffs. Okay, so I just wanted to see if it took off the buffs. This is obviously not efficient. You want to hold these until the end of the fight. Interesting. Oh, I can't one-tap the stage 1 boss. Interesting. Not having the Aerith is bad for me. Right? It's bad for me. It is getting a little rough, yeah. I wonder, man. This is a tough fight. So I want to do this first. I want to get the magic defense down. And I want to put regen up, honestly. And let's just start DPS racing here. I'm still able to get that meter down all the way, which is good to see. Do we survive this is the question. It is a magic attack. No. Rough, buddy. What we're seeing here is a direct result of me not pulling on the Barrett banner that had the escutcheon cannon and not having the Matt weapon, right? Because Matt would also have the ability to keep me topped up while increasing my DPS. Holy shit, that's like the old days. Wow. That's with 15 million damage too. If I had one copy of Matt's weapon, I think that I'd have a lot less trouble with this. I do. I think if I had one copy of it, it would be a lot better for me. Because the biggest thing that I'm dealing with right now is I'm using Tifa to increase my team's magic attack right now. If I can take that off and move to red and make this Matt instead with an AoE magic attack buff and then a magic defense buff, I can probably survive that first attack. And then Matt also has a vanquishing move to get rid of the buffs as well. Then what would I run here? Because we wouldn't need magic defense down in Earth. Well, no, I guess we still would, right? So this would stay. We would just be able to run Shell Knuckles in the main hand. And then probably just highest magic attack, it would probably still be this. We would use this once just to give her haste and to start off the magic attack. Because what we could do is we could open with mats to do the low, and then if we use this, it'll push it up to high. All right, who are my fire debuffers? Red 13, Sephiroth, Aerith, but we can't really use her. Which we can put her outfit back on too. The gear thing, I mean. Kate Sith does her fire defense debuff. Yuffie does as well. Red's is still the best though, right? Yeah, Red's is still the best because it's 3 gauges and it's a high tier debuff. I think the one thing he's missing is just a good offhand weapon, right? I need something that like does buff debuff extension or heals or does a magic defense all allies, something like that, versus the fairly unimpressive regen, right? It's not bad, it's just fine. And I don't really have a slot for him to have debuff extension. I guess I could do buff debuff extension here instead. In terms of the actual strategy, the strategy itself is fairly simple, right? It's have a DPS, have a magic defense debuffer, have a fire defense debuffer. Make sure you have magic defense up if you have access to it. That makes sure that you're not taking a lot of damage from that icy blast. Did about 9,000, which isn't terribly high. And that was without a magic defense buff. So in that, my current stats, my magic defense is not that high. 175 is not massive. That's pretty reachable by anybody in the game right now. Yeah, 150 and 129. And Tifa survived, right? And she doesn't even have a boost HP weapon on, which is, you know, worth noting. So if you went in with a bit more defensive stats, you'd probably be fine here in terms of taking that attack. And then you can just top it back off. The problem is like I only have regen in this build. And none of my other fire debuffers, which would be, again, Kate Sith, Sephiroth, Yuffie, don't have healing capabilities either. And that's the issue with replacing Red. So I wouldn't be able to replace Red. It'd have to be replacing Lucia with Matt. And then Matt would have to use his magic defense debuff. But then I'd only be running 1 fire DPS. Yike. This is going to be a weird one, I think, because unless you like go all in on getting Sephiroth's fire weapon here, that's really what this team comp is missing. Specifically, could use Zac as well, but as like a secondary DPS. But Zac doesn't really do anything else outside of that secondary DPS, right? So I could like replace Lucia here, who's only doing the 450%. I could replace with Zac with the Fire Arcanum. Give him the Stream Saber, or the Stream Guard rather. Give him the yeah, the Arc Sword. Which decreases magic defense. Then give him Crimson Flare. The ultimate weapon if you've got it. Same deal, you give them magic attack stuff that you have available. So you would want to give him because that opens this up, right, as a sub weapon, and that as a sub weapon is a much stronger version of a lot of options here, but we can do this and give the rest of the magic ability potency. This also gives fire potency as well. In any case, point still stands here. It opens up this weapon for anybody, which includes Zach. So we can do this. We can do this. That should increase his magic ability potency to a pretty high level. Yeah, five breakpoints, great. Fire potency is only at 23 points right now, and his magic attack is not high. But we haven't put materia on yet, have we? No, we did, didn't we? We did. Ooh, man. He's a weak boy. Potency, fire potency. What's this then? I think it's still stronger than Lucia. Not by a lot, but I think it is. Because if I can get even one copy of that Sephiroth sword, I can replace Red 13 and my damage will increase by a ton. Oh, this is silly. If I do this, I won't have enough crystals to get a outfit in January. I think I'm talking myself into it, I'll be honest.